In this lecture, I will be explaining the capital structure policy, and the main theory we have is going to be Modigliani-Miller theory with and without taxes. As you read in our book, Modigliani and Miller, known as M&M, they won the Nobel Prize in Economics for giving us this explanation. So their way of explaining the benefit of debt was by comparing two firms. Firm U, which is not really using any debt, so we have debt level of 0. Firm L, which is going to be using $4 million debt. Otherwise, these two firms are identical in every respect. They are making the same amount of money. They are in the same industry. So why do we refer to it as firm L? Because leverage in finance means debt. So this is a levered firm, this is unlevered firm. Let's look at two situations for the tax rate scenario. Let's assume the corporate tax rate is 30%. That's what it happens to be in the most practical situations. And then we will also compare it to the unrealistic tax rate scenario, which is going to be 0%. Yes, there are some countries where the corporate tax rate is really 0. Those are relatively small third world countries. So what Modigliani-Miller showed to us was that when the tax rate is positive, value of this firm here should be equal to the value of an identical firm, firm U, because both of them are making the same amount of money. However, firm L is going to be saving some money in taxes. Why they are going to be saving? Because they are using $4 million debt. On it, they are going to be paying 7% in interest. So interest payments are tax deductible under the current IRS tax code. And those interest deductions are going to be leading to these tax savings. How big are going to be these tax savings for the foreseeable future as long as the firm keep on using $4 million debt? Well, we can show that it is going to be really the tax rate times the level of debt. 30% times 4 million, it will come out to be $1.2 million. So in the marketplace, firm L should be worth more than firm U by $1.2 million. And if you like to know what are going to be the annual tax savings from the use of debt, and we do similar for our mortgage tax payments, because if you recall, if you have a home mortgage, you are allowed to subtract interest you paid on your home mortgage from your taxable income. So that will cut down your taxable income and save you some taxes. Same thing is going to be happening to the firm. So annual tax savings are interest payments times the level of tax rate. This is how we can find the tax payments. Interest payment, and that is going to be the tax rate, and we can finish off this calculation here. Well, how did we come about with this present value of tax savings? It is going to be annual tax savings divided by the cost of debt. Annual tax savings are shown here, divided by the cost of debt. You can see this is going to cancel out with this KD here, and we will end up having DT, which is going to be annual tax savings. What if the tax rate is going to be 0? Then annual tax savings are going to be 0. Then value of firm L is going to be the same as value of firm U. So there won't be any benefit to the firm from the use of debt. Now, what is this 12% that I put in here? That really is going to be the case when we are using the first scenario, tax rate is 0. Actually, it's going to be somewhat different here. It will still rise. So here's what's going to happen in the real world. As the use of debt rises, risk of equity stockholders' investment is going to be rising because what is the rule? Debt holders need to be paid first. If any money is going to be left over, that's going to go to equity holders. So if your risk is going to be rising for your stock investment, so you're going to be demanding high return. And that means the cost of equity is going to be rising. We can show mathematically using precise equation that in this example, the cost of equity actually is going to be rising to 12%. So we can make the following conclusion. That the benefit of cheaper debt is going to be exactly offset by the higher cost of equity, as I explained here. Thus, value of firm L should be the same as value of firm U. And when is that going to be true? When the tax rate is 0, there are no tax savings. Certainly that is going to be true. We can show it mathematically. We can show it by the numbers. So that's essentially what this Modiglian and Miller theory is really about. Thank you.